Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with a really exciting unboxing video. I think it's appropriate that I'm coming at you with this knife on January the 2nd, right after I released my best knife of 2017, which I thought was the Robert Carter and Nick Chuprin BBM collaboration. I absolutely love this knife. This will of course be getting its own final diagnosis sometime in the very near future, but on this Tuesday, the 2nd of January, I'm going to bring you the Carter 2quared. I mean, the Carter 2quared. The Carter squared. That's the name of this knife. This comes to us by way of Ontario Knife Company. This is my very first Ontario knife that I've ever seen or held. Actually, I've held a Rat number 1, number 2 before and used them, but I have not bought one myself. So this one is made in Taiwan, that you can see right there. So let's go ahead and open this knife up. I've been really looking forward to this, and I think a lot of people in the knife community have, because Rob Carter is a pretty cool dude who makes some pretty wicked custom designs. This one is based off of his Whar Fighter model, Whar Fighter. I think that's based on basically the fact that it's a Wharncliffe sort of design right here. It's sort of a sheep's foot Wharncliffe design. This has been really highly anticipated and has been planned to come out for quite some time. I think I've been waiting on this over a year. Ontario previously coordinated with Rob Carter in making the Prime model, and that one was sort of met with some mixed reviews. It was not quite as pretty as this knife, so when they announced this one, which looked like the Whar Fighter, and at the time I owned the Talon, which you'll recall looks something like this, I was just very excited to see this finally come into reality. We have a D2 steel blade, a titanium frame lock flipper with ball bearings at the pivot, and this comes in somewhere in the $135 range, something like that. So a very affordable option for those of you looking for a big, beefy, heavy-duty frame lock flipper with quality materials. So let's go ahead and look at this knife objectively and see what we're looking at here. Up front is about 3.5 inches of cutting length with about a 3.6 inch blade. Back to the pivot is right around 4.25. Overall length is right at 8.5. The handle length is right at about 5 inches, with the grip area being about 3.6 inches if you don't include that back part. If you include the back part, it extends up to 4.25, and I think you should with the way that this is designed. We'll go ahead and bring out another couple of knives for a size comparison. This is a very big knife right here. So here's the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Here is a Chris Reeves Knives Large Inkosi right here. This is a new acquisition on the channel right here. A couple of other newer, bigger knives right here. Maybe somebody knows what the ZT-0920 looks like. So not quite as big as the 0920 right there. I'll bring out the Mannix 2 for another size comparison right there. So it's a big knife, but it's not a huge knife. I think that it fits right at the maximum end of what most people would like to EDC with a 3.5 inch blade. But I think the thing that's going to really set this knife apart are these two dimensions. Number one is going to be the weight. This is coming in at 6.5 ounces, so quite a porker on the scales right there. And then the handle width, maybe you can see right here, is it's quite a thick thing right here. I'm going to bring that caliper in. We're looking at 560 thousandths, so well over a half an inch in terms of the thickness right there. Let's make sure this is totally zeroed. And the blade stock is coming in at 204 thousandths, so a very thick blade and a thick handle right there. So if you're willing to compromise on the weight and the size in the pocket, this is going to be a knife that you need to look at. Let's go ahead and break it down anatomically. Up front is that really cool, to me, looking Wharncliffe sheep's foot style blade made of D2 steel. It has a black stonewash finish that is not DLC, it's not PVD, it's not Cerakote. It's just listed as a black stonewash. There's not a whole lot of information on this knife, and nothing came in the box with regards to an explanation about the knife, which is a bit of a missed opportunity, I think. Working with someone as awesome as Rob Carter, I think that there's a lot of story to tell here. You may or may not know that his grandfather was Mel Pardue. His father was also a custom knife maker, and he's a custom knife maker. He's worked with some of the legends in the industry, and so he's got a lot of heritage and knife making skill going on. Now, he typically will make his knives in full sole authorship materials. He'll make his own Damascus, his own Damascus and zircuti and things like that, and he just makes beautiful, spectacular knives. But this is really sticking true to form with the overall design, even down to the hollow grind, the nice top swedge, and look at the sharpening choil, guys. This is something that I noticed was super impressive. That blade is sharpened perfectly all the way to the heel. Let me see if I can get a really close-up shot all the way to the heel. I have never seen that from a production manufacturer. That looks like the edge that my buddy Nate put onto the Carter right here. It's that perfect back to the heel. He managed to get that all the way back to the heel, but this one is beautifully done. And the edge is super, super sharp. I have tested it. It came very, very sharp. You can see that not only is it hollow ground down to a very thin area right behind the edge. Maybe we can measure that real quick with the calipers here. Oh, we want to zero this right there. And then right behind the edge, you're looking at under 0.020, so very thin. The paramilitary comes in at about 0.020, so very thin behind the edge. Going to be a nice slicing knife, even though it's this thick blade stock. I'm not going to use this to cut my apples, but this is going to slice up boxes like nobody's business. Moving back, it runs on ball bearings. Now, when I got this knife, I noticed that it was running a little bit rough. I opened it up, and actually the blade and the internal mechanisms are coated in a very thick, what looked like silicone grease. And it was very, very thick, and the action was not very good. I have since taken it apart and cleaned it up and changed it out for some nano oil. The action is still a little bit stiff, but again, this knife is brand new. I just took it out of the box a few minutes ago, so I'm going to give it some time to break in. What I don't see is a lock bar insert. Actually, I'm completely mistaken. There is a lock bar insert on the inside there. Let me see if I can get a light in there to show you that there is, in fact, a lock bar insert. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it is built in right there. It's just very subtly press fit in there. I'm not sure if it's screwed in or anything. It may just be press fit, but I do see that. There is the slightest hint of lock stick, but I did put some graphite on there and it is smoothing out nicely. Actually, it's almost gone by now. I've only flipped it maybe 20 times, including the times on the video here, and it's going away, so that's not bad. The lock bar tension is a little bit high, but hopefully that will relax with time. I'm noticing already that the lock bar is easy to disengage because they've done a nice deep bowl cutout right there, so you just can jam your thumb in and push it to the side. I don't see a real over travel stop other than the clip. I'm noticing that I'm able to push that pretty far. I could be wrong. I'm going to take this knife down again and take a look at the internals under the camera for you guys so we know what's going on. Moving back to the handles, this is probably my favorite part of the knife. This looks exactly like my Talon used to look, and I love this design. The way that it fits in the hand. What I thought about my Talon was, oh gosh, I wish it was 3.5 inches. So this is a 3.5 inch Talon for me, and I absolutely love it. It fits in my hand just like I thought it would. Your hands get a nice grip on that contoured end right there, and this expanded pommel back here really holds the knife securely in place. Your thumb rests right on that thumb ramp on the blade, and your index finger inserts right into that choil very comfortably. There are no hot spots, even up here, no hot spots. The clip provides no hot spots. It's a milled 3D titanium clip. I can tell already there's actually a good amount of spring to it. It looks tall enough that it's going to work with a lot of pants and should have a nice ramp. That's actually going to be a nice clip. I can tell by the springiness. Looking back here, it's got a nice back spacer. This might be titanium as well. I'm not entirely sure. What I did notice when I took the knife apart is that the way that it's assembled is that it's 2 T6 Torx screws that are affixed to a cylinder on the inside. So you need 2 Torx bits to take this knife apart. When I put it back together, it looks like I didn't do a good job of fitting these ends together. That is not representative of the factory job. That's me not putting it together well. So don't take that as a means of judging the factory work here. But I'm very excited to show this knife to you guys. Rob Carter is a cool guy. I absolutely love his work. And to see a production knife coming in the low 100s with titanium and ball bearings and a solid steel is very exciting. This knife stays true to his design, and it's very, very cool. I'm excited to carry this knife. I think this is definitely going to become a project knife for me. I could see this looking nice with some satin flats and an anodized handle right here, so look forward to that one, guys. What do you think of this knife, guys? Leave some comments down below about the Carter Squared. Check out Ontario Knife Company. Check me out on Instagram at Dr. Frunkey, and as always, guys, take